President Biden was in Crystal Lake, Illinois today, one of the redder parts of the blue state, as he continued to sell his infrastructure plan. He made the case for the American Families Plan, which is expected to pass via reconciliation.
To truly win the 21st century and once again lead the world, to truly build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, to truly deal everybody in this time, we need to invest in our people. That's why I want to guarantee an additional 4 years of public education for every person in America, starting with providing 2 years of universal, high-quality preschool for 3- and 4-year-olds. We'll also make strategic investments in teachers. High-quality child care options should be the rule, not the exception. So I'm going to be making the case to the American people until the job is done.
While Biden is working hard to convince the working class, failed by Republican policies, that he can help, Republicans are doing everything they can to stop him. They've called the proposals in the American Family Plan garbage. But don't take my word for it. Check out what the Grim Reaper of legislation, Mitch McConnell, told a bunch of supporters in Kentucky.
And my friends, this is not going to be done on a bipartisan basis. This is going to be a hell of a fight over what this country ought to look like in the future. And it's all going to unfold here in the next few weeks. But we're going to make it hard for them.
This came after he boasted about refusing to support the wildly popular American Relief Package.
Not a single member of my party voted for it. So you're going to get a lot more money. I didn't vote for it. But you're going to get a lot more money. Do it wisely, because hopefully this windfall doesn't come along again.
Joining me now, Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. And I laugh a little bit, Secretary Pete, because you've been a politician. I never knew that a selling point with voters could be, you got all that money, I didn't give it to you, and you ain't going to get any more. I had no idea that was a winning political message until today. I'm today old. Does that surprise you, just as a former politician?
You know, I guess it's not my place to give political advice to members of the Senate from the other party, but I am puzzled by it, because what we're trying to do is wildly popular. I mean, that's true certainly of the rescue plan, which did so much to bring us back from the brink. It's certainly true of the bipartisan infrastructure framework, which we continue to believe can and should move forward with bipartisan support, getting us everything from roads and bridges to fixing lead pipes to internet, but also the things the president was talking about today. Making sure you can have 12 weeks of paid family leave if you need it. Making sure everybody gets 3- and 4-year-olds can get pre-kindergarten education, community college, making childcare more affordable. I mean, these are things that the American people want. Matter of fact, most Republicans around the country want them. I don't know why you would stake your ground on fighting things that the American people correctly believe are long overdue. And that's what the president believes, too.
Well, I mean, you know, Mitch McConnell didn't just do that. He called it garbage. And just to go over it again, a child tax credit, child care, universal pre-K, as you just mentioned, free community college, Pell Grants, workforce development, paid family leave. Like, these are things that when you say it to regular people, they go, oh, that sounds great. So my question to you guys, just strategically, if these things are popular and doing infrastructure, roads and bridges, you're the trains guy, that's popular, why separate them? Why not just put them all back into one bill, pass the whole thing through reconciliation, and tell Republicans, vote for it or don't, but we're not going to carry you?
Well, it's important to the president to do what we can on a bipartisan basis. By the way, it's also important to a lot of members of the Senate Democratic Caucus to do what we can on a bipartisan basis. And there's a lot that we can. I mean, let's be clear. This bipartisan infrastructure framework, I mean, we're talking about the biggest investment in public transit in American history. We're talking about the biggest investment in roads and bridges since Eisenhower, the most we've ever done on a number of environmental cleanup issues. But, you know, during that run-up on the infrastructure deal, right, we heard a lot from the other side of the aisle saying, okay, you know, these things you want to do to make child care more affordable or help people with elder care, you know, that's all well and good. We just don't think it should be in the infrastructure package. Fine. Now this will call the question because it's in a different package. Maybe they'll be for it, maybe they won't, but the American people are for it, and we think both of these packages will pass. Both of them deserve to get to the president's desk for a signature, and when he signs them, American lives are going to be better. People are going to be better off, not only when we have better roads and bridges and airports and the rest of it, but when we have childcare affordable for everybody, when we have that paid family leave, people are going to feel the differences in their lives right away. That is good policy. I got to think it's good politics, too, but I guess everybody makes their own decision on that.
Do you trust Joe Manchin and really especially Kristen Sinema to not double cross you all? Vote for the, sort of watered down a bit because you have to get Republicans in it, infrastructure bill, and then refuse to vote for the reconciliation bill. Do you trust them not to double cross you?
I've heard them talk about some of these same issues that are in this families package as well. I know that they're interested in this. I've heard each of them talk about the need to move the country forward on that front. So we need to obviously shape legislation that can get all the votes it needs to pass. One of the challenges with a 50-50 Senate is literally any single one senator can make or break any one piece of legislation. But that's a challenge that we accept, that we welcome, and the president's already done what a lot of people didn't think was possible, negotiating a bipartisan deal, and a big one. I mean, let's be clear. Again, this bipartisan infrastructure framework represents the biggest investment we have seen in generations in American infrastructure. In many ways, on many subjects, the biggest investment in American history. But we know we've got to do more, and if we have to do that part without Republican votes, so be it. I still haven't given up on the idea, though, that at least some Senate Republicans might decide to agree with the American people, including, by the way, a large majority of American Republicans, maybe not here on Capitol Hill, but out there around the country, who have said that they, too, believe we need to invest more in the care economy of this country.